All right, so now we're going to start back right here where it says, but we would dishonor those. Okay, but we would dishonor these heroes as well to suggest that the work of this nation is somehow complete. The arc of moral universe may bend towards justice, but it doesn't bend on its own. To secure the gains this country has made requires constant vigilance, not complacency. Whether by challenging those who erect new barriers to the vote, or ensuring that the scales of justice work equally for all, and the criminal justice system is not simply a pipeline from underfunded schools to overcrowded jails, it requires vigilance. Here we finally see the theme that Obama is trying to, or the message that Obama is trying to convey, and that is this nation is not done. Okay, we still have things that we need to fight for, especially in terms of civil rights. So he's suggesting we still have a ways to go in terms of civil rights. Okay, and he goes as far, a little bit of pathos, to say that we would dishonor these heroes, to suggest that that's even true, that our civil rights are done. Okay, so it goes on to suggest that. So that's our theme. He starts to quote, and he alludes to Martin Luther King's speech, and when he says the arc of the moral universe may bend towards justice, this is a quote. It's not in quotes, but this is a reference to MLK's speech as well. Okay, and a very good persuasive task, or persuasive, what's the word I'm looking for? Strategy is what's known as a call to action. And what a call to action does is it has me, or as the writer, call my reader to do something. Okay, and Obama does this by saying, to secure the gains this country has made requires vigilance, not complacency. So he's calling us to remain vigilant of these injustices and our social justice issues. Okay, so he's saying we need to remain vigilant. That's calling me to do something. Okay, and especially in persuasive pieces, you want to have an element that requires me, hey, this is what I've said, and I want you to get off your butt and go, this is what you can do. Okay, and that's what he's doing, is he's telling us to remain vigilant. Okay, don't become complacent with where we're at, because there's still gains that we have to make. Okay, he also starts to allude to to states who are issuing new barriers in the voting process, so who erect new barriers to vote, or ensuring that the scales of justice work equally for all. And the criminal justice system is not simply a pipeline for underfunded schools to overcrowded jails. Okay, so he's saying we need to watch out for states who are erecting new laws or passing laws that restrict voting access, because these laws, especially in Texas, as you may have heard, okay, trying to pass laws requiring voter IDs. Okay, this specifically targets the low socioeconomic groups who, yes, they're here illegally, okay, but minorities who can't afford to go get a license. Okay, it's almost a reference to Jim Crow laws where you had to pay a tax in order to vote. Okay, by having to pay for an ID to vote. Okay, that's been now classified as unconstitutional, and it has been upheld throughout the court system as it's making its way up. Okay, but these votes put barriers in the way of low socioeconomic or poor individuals who can't afford to spend $25 to go get their license, or who can't afford to leave work during the week to go to the DPS office or wherever to get an ID. Okay, so that's a social injustice that he's pointing out. He also talks about underfunded schools leading to jails. Okay, so he's saying this requires vigilance. These are things that we have to watch, because if not, we're going to keep perpetuating this society, or this in our society. Next, he says, and we'll suffer the occasional setback, but we will win these fights. This country has changed too much. People of goodwill, regardless of party, are too plentiful for those with ill will to change history's events. Okay, here he's trying to develop that theme a little bit. So we have to continue the fight for civil rights. They get to continue the civil rights movement. Made prominent with this March on Washington. Okay, we consider MLK and his March on Washington to be a predominant leader in the civil rights. Okay, and when you think about civil rights, MLK is really the one that comes to mind. So he's really revolving this around the theme of we're not done. We will continue to fight. We will continue to win these fights. Okay, this country has changed too much. People of goodwill, people with plenty, people want to change history. Okay, and that's what he's saying we're doing. It's a little bit of pathos, trying to get that excitement rolling. Okay, in some ways, though, the securing of civil rights, voting rights, the eradication of legalized discrimination, the very significance of these victories may be obscured a second goal of the march. For the men and women who gathered 50 years ago were not there in search of some abstract ideal. They were there seeking jobs as well as justice, not just the absence of oppression, but the presence of economic opportunity. Okay? Some logos talking about why these people were marching, but also some pathos. We're trying to really tap into people's emotions and the way they feel about this topic. Okay, that's really kind of all he's got going on in this paragraph. But he also kind of makes the an allusion to equality for all, especially in this one case, the presence of economic opportunity. Okay, so everyone has a chance here in America is what he's trying to allude to. The next. Sorry, I'm looking at my answer key in here, and they just don't match up. For what does it profit a man, Dr. King would ask, to sit at an integrated lunch counter if he can't afford the meal? This idea that one's liberty is linked to one's livelihood, that the pursuit of happiness requires the dignity of work, the skills to find work, decent pay, some measure of material security, this idea was not new. Lincoln himself understood the Declaration of Independence in such terms as a promise that in due time the weights would be lifted from the shoulders of all men and that all should have an equal chance. Okay. For what does it profit a man? This is a religious reference to Mark 8:36. To focus on the listeners, another goal of the commemoration of the March on Washington, which is to provide people with jobs. Okay, at this time you had African Americans who really could not find a job because of the segregation, and so what he's trying to say is the ability to find a job and make money is part of this integration. Because what good does it do me to be able to sit at your lunch counter if I can't afford to eat a meal there? Okay, so he kind of brings this all together. Okay, we also have an allusion back to Declaration of Independence and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, as a fundamental human right. Okay, pursuit of happiness, he kind of ties that in with the ability to work. Because without the ability to work, I can't find that happiness. I can't afford I can't afford to do anything. Okay, I can't afford to be happy. All right, and so that's what he's saying there. Establish ethos by quoting Lincoln. Okay, remember we talked a lot about Lincoln being a predominant leader in civil rights, especially remember we credit him with the emancipation of slavery, the getting rid of slavery. Okay, and so that allusion establishes some ethos there. He also, there's a little bit of parallelism where Obama's trying to find some measures between MLK and himself. Okay, so by getting these ideas, he's kind of helping to push his agenda a little bit more. Again, this is, I'm on the side of MLK, I'm on the side of Lincoln, okay, and using that to frame his entire argument. And so there's that little parallelism where the structure's running side by side, and he's using that as a way to enhance his argument. And Dr. King explained that the goals of African Americans were identical to working people of all races. decent wages, fair working conditions, livable houses, old age security, health and welfare measures, conditions in which families can grow, have education for their children, and respect in the community. Okay, and some more of that parallelism. These are things that Obama pushed for in his agenda as part of his presidency. Okay, and that parallelism with what Dr. King wanted. Okay, so that's that. Again, that's that. I'm on the side of Dr. King. What King was describing has been the dream of every American. It's what lured the century's new arrivals to our shores, and it's along the second dimension of economic opportunity, the chance that honest toil to advance one's station in life, where the goals of 50 years ago have fallen most short. Okay, we're going to stop there for now. We'll continue this. I'll have another video for y'all to watch. Remember, I will not be here Friday as well, so I will not see you again until Monday. So tomorrow, the goal is to have a couple more of these videos, doing the rhetorical analysis with you via video. Okay, so we're going to stop there. If there's still time left in class, you may be on your phones. However, if you need to remain quiet, and if you're going to, and seated. Okay, if you don't know how to act, I will have Ms. Zapata make you write sentences, or whoever the sub is during this period should be Ms. Zapata. Okay, so you need to work on being quiet. However, the rest of the class period is yours. So I will see y'all on Monday.